Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Read Aloud with Miss Cope. Today is Monday. It is June 8th, and it is our last week of school. I cannot believe it. Congratulations, fifth graders. You've been working super duper hard. This week, I am hoping to finish our Read Aloud. We are reading It Ain't So Awful Falafel by Firoozeh Dumas. All right. We left off on the chapter called It's Not Like on TV. Everyone who can leave Iran is now leaving. The government does not allow Iranians to take money or jewelry out of the country. So we hear all kinds of crazy stories about people sewing their gold coins and jewelry in their children's stuffed animals, or even hiding them in fake casts. Some people get away with it. Others are caught and punished. Those who succeed in bringing their jewelry sell it in America and use the money to rebuild their lives. Even though we're living here, our family, home, and belongings are still in Iran. My dad keeps telling me that we're safe, but I'm not sure I believe him. My dad doesn't always tell me the truth, if the truth is scary. Two of my uncles are trying to come to America. They don't feel safe anymore. Like most doctors in Iran, they are rich, not because they were dishonest, but because they worked hard their entire lives. But the new Iranian government thinks that anyone who got rich under the Shah's regime is corrupt and must be punished. Bank accounts and homes are still being taken away, and hundreds of high-ranking Iranians who have worked for the Shah continue to be arrested and killed without trial. One of my uncles told my dad that the names of the streets and institutions are being changed to honor the Islamic Revolution. Pahlavi University, named after the Shah's wife, is now Al-Zahra University, after the Prophet Mahatma's daughter. My dad says the new government is trying to erase history, but he didn't say that on the phone with my uncle. Someone from the government could have been listening, and he didn't want to get my uncle in trouble. My uncle didn't seem to care if anyone was listening on the line. He even said that the fire at the Cinema Rex in Abadan, the one that killed about 500 people last summer, was actually set by Khashoggi's supporters. He said they blamed it on the Shah so they could get the revolution going. Then he swore at Khamenei, and my dad told him to be quiet and not to say stuff like that on the phone. The Iranians who come to America have plenty of worries too. Our phone rings all the time with calls from newly arrived families who have questions about living in this foreign country. The mothers want to know about American kids and drugs and alcohol. My mom tells them that there are many good, kind families here, and that I have all sorts of friends who do well in school and who would never use drugs and alcohol. You just don't see the good American kids on TV, she assures them. I can't believe this is my mom talking, the same one who's been depressed forever. If you didn't know her, you'd think she's the most well-adjusted foreigner in America. Maybe it's because everyone seems to think she's an expert or something now. Or maybe it's because she has people to speak Persian with again. Listening to her tell yet another newly arrived Iranian that it's really not so bad here, I know I have done the right thing by not telling my mom about the hamster and the note. It would have ruined America for her. So it sounds like there's still issues in Iran with the government. And it sounds like Iranians are leaving and more are coming to America and bringing everything they can with them to survive here. Next chapter, misinformation. I'm doing my homework at the kitchen table when I hear someone knock. I answer the door. It's Brock. Hi, I say, hoping I don't sound as surprised as I feel. I wish I weren't wearing sweatpants. Hi, Cindy. Hey, I'm going to Mexico with my dad, and he told me to bring a book. Remember when you said you had some to recommend? Yeah, but I suddenly can't think of a single book I have ever read. Can you wait a minute? Sure, he says. I run upstairs, scan the 2 piles of books stacked on the floor. I grab the one on the top and run back down. Here you go. I hand him my dog-eared copy of Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, You'll Love It. Brock examines the book back Cover. Looks good. Thanks. He turns around and leaves. I was hoping he would ask me to tell him something about the book. It would have been nice to chat a little longer. Are Zomorod and Brock becoming friends? Next chapter, December 15th, 1979. We're sitting on the sofa watching the news as usual. The shah has been kicked out of the U.S. to Panama. We are sure the hostages will be freed now. After all, the shah's coming to the U.S. was the excuse the kidnappers gave for taking hostages in the first place. My dad's shoulders hunched, mumbles something to himself. I lean closer. I never in my whole life thought I would be without a job, he mutters. I've never been so sad for my father. I want to say something to make him feel better, like he's always tried to do with me. Are you afraid of never having a job again, I ask him. Afraid? No. Everything is fine, he says, sitting up straight. We both know he's lying. No one has called him yet for an interview. He sent out 48 resumes. I have said 48 prayers. Then maybe to prove that he isn't worried, he suddenly insists we go to Sears to buy a new bedroom set. My mom says she doesn't feel like going. Neither do I. I am perfectly fine sleeping on the floor, I say. It's not right, he insists. Let's go. Shopping at Sears is not as much fun this time. I end up buying a bed made of fake wood that looks real from far away. Up close, I can see some of the veneer peeling away on the floor model, but I don't say anything. The bed has 3 drawers under it, so I don't need a dresser. My dad says he's really sorry that we can't buy the whole bedroom set, but since he's not working anymore, we can only spend what I make when I sold my old furniture. I assure him that I don't want the whole set because it would make my room seem smaller than it. That is a lie, but technically it doesn't count as one because I said it to make my dad feel better. Then he starts swearing at the hostage takers and the revolution right there in Sears showroom. He's just standing there, surrounded by bedroom sets, swearing in Persian. The salesman is staring at him. So is a couple of standing nearby with their 2 children. I've never seen my dad act this way. And it scares me. I start to cry. I want all these people to know that my dad doesn't usually act like this. He's a really good human being. He's honest and he's always worked hard ever since he was 14. He is the most generous and kind person I've ever known. But his life has been ruined now, and it's not his fault. My dad sees me crying and comes over and puts his arm around me. Let's go, he says. We don't say anything on the way home. He drives in silence and pretend none of that just happened. That's how we are. Next chapter. No ho ho ho. Christmas vacation at our house is always a dud because we don't celebrate the holiday or exchange gifts or bake cookies. But this Christmas makes the other years look like explosions of joy. My home is possibly the most depressing place on earth. All the programs on television are about the hostages and their families. My dad spends the entire day in front of the TV swearing, and my mom cries every morning saying she's embarrassed to be Iranian. My dad says that at least when the Shah was in power, Iranians were not hostage takers. I want my dad to have a job so badly. That is my Christmas wish, and even though technically I can't make a Christmas wish because I'm not Christian, but it's not like there's a huge difference between me, Rachel, and Carolyn. Even though we belong to 3 different religions, we are alike in so many more ways than we are different. Next chapter. December 27th, 1979. Even though the Shah is no longer in the U.S., the hostages are not released. Current footage of some of them is shown on TV. Their families in the United States are also shown praying for their safe return. They all look like average families you see at grocery stores. There is a little girl named Marcy who looks just like me. Her brother is one of the hostages, and she says how much she misses him. Then the family shows his photo. He looks so young. My mom and I both start crying. My dad swears and turns off the TV. So even though the Shah has returned to the U.S., even though the regime released the hostages, am I saying that right? Even though there's no longer the Shah is no longer in the U.S., the hostages are still not released. So there's still a big issue. Next chapter. Roll of thunder, hear my thanks. We're in the middle of dinner when the doorbell rings. I'm almost done eating, so I get up to answer. It's Brock. Hi, Cindy. Thanks. He hands me back the book I loaned him. So you like it? Oh, yeah. The Logans are kind of amazing. Yeah, they are. Oh, and I brought you this. He reaches in his pocket and hands me a seashell. It's from the beach I went surfing at in Mexico. I hold the shell with both hands. Wow, thank you. Right then, my father shows up. Hello, young man, he says, glaring at Brock. Oh, hello. Then he turns to me. Well, I should go. Bye, I say. My dad shuts the door quickly. The boy needs a haircut. I don't think so, I mumbled, holding the seashell carefully in my hand. That was very thoughtful, Brock. Next chapter, my favorite hostage. I can't believe the hostages have not been released yet. Every single evening on Nightline, I hear the count and I hate it. It tells us how many days the hostages have been held captive. I want to hear Ted Koppel say, today the hostages were freed, no more tally. Before we know it, it is day 67. Day 67. I remember when it was day 14. My parents and I kept saying 2 weeks, and now it's been 3 months. Tonight, Nightline is showing the 2 female hostages, Anne Swift and Carol Knob. The hostage takers think all the Americans are spies. These 2, with their big glasses and gentle voices, look and sound like librarians, sweet librarians who help children find the right books. Catherine Nobbs looked straight in the camera, smiles, and said, and the only reason I'm losing weight, Mother, is because I decided that was one thing I could do while I was here. What a practical person. Most women in Newport Beach are constantly trying to lose weight, and here is this hostage finding humor in a horrible situation and trying to keep her family from worrying. I imagine she must be funny and practical in real life too. The program also shows some Christian religious leaders who have visited the hostages. The Iranian government is allowing the visits so that the world can see that the Americans are in good shape and have not been mistreated. They also show a table full of fruit and sweets the government has provided to give the impression that the hostages are being treated like guests. My dad says, if those hostage takers are so inhumane, why don't they release them? Once more, my mom and I start to cry. He swears and turns off the TV again. Next chapter, read all about it. Since it doesn't look like my father will be finding a job anytime soon, I decide to get one myself. I had hoped to work at a CIT at Camp White's Landing this summer, but since that doesn't pay, I have to look elsewhere. I still babysit once in a while, but not as much as I used to. David has a bunch of after-school activities that will continue until the summer, so Mrs. Klein doesn't need me as often. Plus, $1 an hour doesn't add up to much. Carolyn was right. Carolyn tells me that the only place that hires 12-year-olds is the Daily Lighthouse, the local free paper that is delivered 3 times a week. It covers groundbreaking neighborhood news ranging from It's Not Just a Rumor, new flavor at Socomore's ice cream shop, to local man shares memories from car trip through Iowa. There are classified ads from everything from boats for sale to people looking for pet sitters. All the area restaurants print coupons in it. For example, free soda would purchase a free 3 tacos. We used that one a lot when my dad had a job and we ate out once a week. The Daily Lighthouse is also very popular with cat owners. It's the perfect size for lining litter boxes. Carolyn gives me the number. I'm supposed to call for a job. A guy named Chuck answers. Good afternoon. My name is Sydney and I would like to apply for a job delivering the paper. Do you have a bike? Chuck wants to know. Yes. What's your address? 12514 Vista del Roar, Newport Beach. Hot diggity dog. We need someone in that neighborhood. The job is yours. Is that it? I ask. Listen, Sandy, the turnover is very high in this job. My name's Cindy, I remind him. Cindy, Sandy, Mindy, Mandy, some difference. All I need to know is that you're at least 12 and have a bike and 2 legs to pedal with. You make $2.90 an hour plus 1 cent for every advertising insert per paper. We deliver the papers and inserts to you. You fold them, you deliver them. It will take you about 2 to 3 hours total. You keep track. It's not brain surgery. If you want the job, we'll deliver the papers to you tomorrow. You can start tomorrow, can't you? Yes, yes. $2.90 per hour is almost 3 times what I make babysitting, and that doesn't even include the inserts. All right, we are stopping there today. Thank you all for listening and tuning in to my read aloud, and we will see you tomorrow. Toodles.